Hello YouTube friends. I just wanted to give you a brief review today of a couple of guns. I'm not going to bore you with showing you the case or showing you the owner's manual or anything like that, but I think what a lot of people look at when they're buying a gun is, well, what else is out there? So what we've got here on the table, reviewing a few things here. Friends asked me, this is my Glock 19. I recently bought a Walther PPQ, and I've begun concealed carrying this PPQ. Now, some comparisons have come up because some people say, well, you know, Glock 19, Walther PPQ, very close, similar, very similar in size, capacity, and all that. Well, how do they actually compare? I was going to do a couple of things for you. You can look up dimensions online, but there's a few things that it won't quite tell you. Use this gauge here and tell you. For example, the width of the guns. Now, if you're looking at a Glock, you're looking at dead on 1 inch right there. You come down here to the frame, you're looking at 1.15.
You're getting a glare.
Okay, so we're looking at about 1.15, 1.16. I always carried the Glock 3rd Gen with this little piece on it right there, and you see with that, without biting into it too much, I was looking at a 1.3 inch wide grip. Now I'll slide that off here because a lot of people won't do it, or they'll use a thinner grip anyway. Take my rubber sleeve off. Without that sleeve, your 3rd Gen Glock down here at the handle comes in 1/10 of an inch thinner, looking at about 1.17. Now PPQ, it's wider, it's taller, but let's talk about that in ways that matter, because let me put them up here side by side. You see that the Walther here on my right has a tapered slide. Okay, and that does make a difference, because let's start doing the micrometer on it. If you measure it here at the very top, within those serrations, you're looking at less than an inch. You're looking at 0.89 or so. You go up here towards the very top, not too scientific, but look at about 0.8. Get down here at the bottom, a shade over an inch and a 8/100, 7/100. You get down here on the frame, the slide's actually a little wider. Still looking at 1 1/8. Now the reason you see a wider number on the internet is because they got to measure by this magazine catch. All right, now you're looking at that magazine catch 1.33 inches, but that's not necessarily indicative of how wide this gun actually is, because it's really not. I mean, except for that one little bar, it's not that wide. Now if we measured here at the handle, right there, we're looking at 1.12. I have to look back, I didn't memorize my Glock number, but it's very, very similar. Now this gun, it's hard to see, maybe with the serrations, not the best gun safety you're seeing me modeled here, but it's wider in spots. It's like 1.3 here. You come down here, it's 1.24. If you back up some towards the edge, you can find spots where it's 1 inch back here. It's, let me turn the gun upwards, 1.15 towards the front. And if you look at it here from the bottom, it's got like a swell to it. So in some ways it may matter to you. If you put this in a holster, it may not matter as much. Now another thing is the height. I didn't measure the height here because it's a pretty hard one to do. We extend this thing out from about the bottom, not including the sight. You're looking at about 4.6 inches. Now with the Walther, pulling it in, you're looking at right at 5 inches without the sights. Glock 17, about the same. So height wise it's the same. Now that may sound like, well, the Glock 19 wins, but not so fast, because you're not going to carry these guns with no magazine. Now, I don't know if you can get down and see the heights here, but you'll notice that the Walther has this little lip. Now when you put the magazine in your Glock 19, look how much it just grew. You put your magazine in your Walther PPQ, it doesn't make it quite as tall, because there's this little height to it anyway. And then we look at 3 empty magazines in these 3 guns. Now, they've all been safety checked. Just do that for the safety. Nothing there, empty. Glock 19, same way, empty. Now if you look at it from this way, if you look at them height-wise, they're sitting on their sights. All of a sudden that height difference between your Glock and your Walther doesn't look as much. Let me eject that for a second. Now see, that when that shot alone, it looks like, wow, that Walther's a lot taller. But it just kind of holds the magazine more. Now let's measure it this way. Glock 19 with a magazine, which is the way you're going to carry it. You're looking at closer to 4.9 inches from bottom of magazine to top of slide. If you look at sights, about 5 inches, about the same. Now if we look at a PPQ, 5.1 inch, 5.2 inch or so, top of slide to bottom of magazine. Sights are kind of tall on that one. So now you're looking at about a 1/4 inch difference. On your Glock 17, sorry, you're looking at 5.3. Now the other thing may be weight. If you like to come around, we'll weigh them. Bar at the food scale here. Glock 19 empty, no magazine, 23, or magazine empty, 23.8 ounces. Walther PPQ, same scale. Keep in mind this is a threaded barrel, so it comes in a little teeny bit heavier than a regular one, 24.8. So we're looking at like about an ounce difference. Now Glock 17, 25.1. Not a lot of difference in any of them. Now we haven't really messed with this 42 yet, but you can see right there, much lighter gun. Also, just get some quick measurements on it. I mean, it's not even an inch wide, 0.8 or so right there. You come down here to the handle, 0.86. Much smaller firearm. So then we come down to holster. Now I picked this up. This is apples to oranges. My PPQ, I picked up this holster at the Dixie Gun Show. See more of a fat boy skin here than you'd like to see. This holster is designed though you can tuck your shirt in. You see the leather clip is separate from the holster, and you can tuck in your shirt. Belt loop came undone there. But you can sit here and tuck in your shirt and in theory hide the gun, and that's a pretty big gun. Now one thing, like I said, seeing more of a fat boy skin than you want, but because of that tapered slide and because of where you carry it, that doesn't really bother you. The way it tapers up, compared to when I carried a Glock 19 earlier, I'll stick the Glock in the same holster, see a little bit of a difference here. The Glock where it didn't have a slide, may not matter on this holster as much as it did my other one, but when you would carry it all day, those serrations could kind of get up there and bother your skin. Which you may say, hey, that's the difference that go to Walmart for $5, you can buy yourself some tank tops and take care of the problem. As far as safety, I didn't bring my snap caps out here. Some people talk about loaded chamber indicators if you're worried about safety. A couple of people want some kind of loaded chamber indicator. Walther does have one. You see here this bar. This is flat right now. When we load the chamber, you can see a red right there. This thing is ready to go. Not the best gun safety. I should have brought my snap caps out. Now let's say we load it into the Walther, or the Glock, sorry. The Glock, what you'll see right here, there's a piece that's kind of flat right there. When we load it, it comes out where your finger can kind of catch it. So if you were to check this gun, you would hold it out, you would take your finger and rub, say, ah, notches out, must be loaded. And you know then that you have one in the chamber. The Glock 19 to 42 or 17 and 42, we won't go over those same way. The last thing I want to do for you here is downrange. I have stapled up some targets. I'm just going to load.
You're up to 8 minutes.
Yeah. Thorough review. Load some rounds here. Fire all of them so that you can see muzzle flip. One question came down about bore axis on these guns, and the Walther does have a little bit higher bore axis. It does have that going against it. So you do have to worry about that. Load a few here into the PPQ. And you may have a mag preference. The Glocks have this like plastic coating over their magazines, and they work. While I'm loading this, one thing I'll show you here. If you look at the Glock 19, I don't know if the camera can pick it up or not, but it looks like the frame is like bent on all of them to me. First time I ever went to a gun shop years ago and held a Glock, the first thing I said was, wow, this feels cheap. I stand by that they look cheap. I know the Glock fanboys out there will say a Glock is not cheap, and they're true. I mean, a Glock works. It works very well. It's a spectacular firearm. It does everything you would ever expect it to do. But, yeah, that's a fully loaded one there. It does everything you expect it to do, but as far as quality of machining, if you look at that PPQ, you don't see that. I don't think we'd ever catch it on camera. You might. You can see daylight between the frame and the slide of a Glock on almost any of them. Plus there's that little awkward bent thing going on. On a Walther you can see a little bit of daylight, but not nearly as much, and I don't see that bent to it. To me, it's just a better machine gun. Before we load them up, bore axis right there. Alright, so as far as barrels go, won't look directly down the barrel of a gun, but if you look at the sides, not much difference in them there. That's the height. You can see the triggers. I mean, we're talking maybe a quarter, maybe an eighth of an inch higher on the Walther. To me, the ergonomics of the Walther make up for any amount of extra muzzle flip you may get. Go ahead and hook up my earmuffs here. I'm gonna fire 3 of these. Let's start out with my Glock 19. I haven't shot this without my glove in a while. Shoot this at 1. What we're gonna watch, I'm gonna fire 5 shots just straight, watching for muzzle flip, and then I'll let 5 go really quick. And these are the NATO round. I'll step up a little bit closer. You wanna come around some?
Hold on.
All right, now watching the muzzle flip here, what some people are asking about. There you go. And we killed a tree limb officially there.
Something may have happened.
And I'm not shooting very well today. Next thing is we'll bring in the Walther. We'll go for another target. Load this one up. Go for that left one there. That one. And 5. At least for me, you could always call that rigged, but I did shoot better with the PPQ. Now the next one. Now this one has the big back strap on it. Makes it a little bit longer. Chamber that one. 5 fast. And we still you see probably the most controllable one there. Probably this Glock 17. But what you got to keep in mind when you go to conceal either of these guns is that if you go for a PPQ, you are basically going to be concealing a full-sized handgun. Now I'm 5'10", I'm 225 pounds. I've got a pretty decent sized hand on me. Either one of these, I mean the Glock's 17, I could tuck that right in the same holster it's built for PPQ. I could probably carry it just as well as I could carry a PPQ. But just for ergonomic reasons, just for how I like how it feels, my vote would go to the PPQ. Nothing necessarily wrong with the Glock, but if what you want is a good concealed carry, if you're a small frame person, you probably need to be shopping for the Glock 42, maybe a Smith & Wesson Shield, or they're coming out with, they got the Walther PPS, they got the CCP coming down the line. What it all comes down to though, if you want to conceal any of these firearms, the Glock 19, the Walther PPQ, the Glock 17, you got to ask yourself a question. Can I carry a full-size firearm? Because that's really what they all come down to. You've seen the shooting, you've seen the muzzle flip. I think that's about all I can give you in regards to these guns. So happy choice, and no matter what you choose, you've made a good choice. And make the ones best for you. Thanks for watching.